All right, so at the special request of everybody last week, the topic today was sales. So we're going to do a high-level introduction to sales training for teacherpreneurs. Just to start off, on a scale of 1 to 3, how comfortable do you feel with sales? 1 being I'm terrible at it, 2 is I could improve, or 3 I'm a closer for sure. 2, Naima? Julieta is at a 1. Okay, no worries.
Or a zero.
Zero.
I've never done it before, but I think
Well, good, good. Thank you for telling me about that, right? So today we're diving into one of the most important and misunderstood skills that you'll need to grow your program and change lives, which is sales. So I know this word for a lot of people it can be triggering, it can bring up negative thoughts. So just tell me right off the bat, first thing that comes to mind. When you hear the word sales, what comes to mind?
ugh, hang
Ugh,
up.
yeah. Good, good. What do you think,
I
Naima?
used to think like that. It really is. I had to change the way I think, to be honest with you. But I say used to, but that's why I said it too, because I'm still kind of in that space of like, ugh, when it comes to sales. But in the same breath, I really notice that I have done the best basically when I have a product that I believe in, right? Of course, I
Mm.
mean, that's what they say. Some people are just really good at sales, but I'm that type of person, right? Like if I have a product that I believe in, then it's really easy to talk about, right? It's really easy to get people to um say yes, right? That thing I learned from you the other day, right? Getting them to say yes a couple times, right? And buy into the idea is that this is what they want to do, right? And
Yeah,
this is because it's something that I truly believe in. So it's easy for me to talk about, as opposed to I used to work like for telecommunications and I was terrible at sales because I didn't believe in like forcing products on people they didn't need, you know? So like I was terrible at it. But
yeah.
this is something that's a little bit more comfortable because I believe in what it is that I'm doing, right? So
I love
that's
how
the
you
biggest thing.
framed that. Yeah, that is actually it's super important. I worked at a software company doing sales for like a cybersecurity product, and I don't care about that at all. Like I was good at it, and I made a lot of money, and I felt just completely drained and depleted at the end of the day. So yeah. The good
Yeah,
news is what we're
I was
selling.
lying
We're
on
all
you. You feel
linguists.
me?
We're all bilingual. We all believe in the power of learning languages. So this is something you can fully get behind and put all your effort into it. So yeah, I got to add that to the list here. So, common responses when people think of salespeople or people that are pushy, telemarketers that call you on the phone when you're in the middle of dinner. You got the idea of the used car salesman, or just trying to convince people to buy something, negotiating, asking for money. And teachers a lot of times say, not for me, I'm a teacher. I had a teacher I really wish would come and join us in this program. She's like, nah, I just want to show up and teach. And so I get that, right? And those are all fair associations. And some of these may have been more true than others in the past, but I would say not anymore. And not when done right. Yeah, there's still a lot of people going through sales training, but I personally think that sales is not about convincing people. It's about qualifying and identifying our ideal students before they sign up. It's about leading conversations with curiosity and asking a lot of questions. And it's about helping people make well informed decisions that improve their lives. So, question for both of you: have you ever had a conversation where someone tried to sell you something in that kind of pushy, aggressive way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How did it make you feel?
Yeah, back up.
Yeah, I
Back
just felt like I
up.
needed to leave.
You get defensive, right? Like something gets
Mhm.
triggered and you get defensive, and it doesn't matter what they're trying to sell you, if it's something you want or if it's something you don't want. I've gone into stores before where I was fully planning on buying something, but because of how like aggressive the person got, I walked off and
Mhm.
I was like, never mind, right? So those days are gone, in my opinion. And a lot of this has changed because of the internet. Most people get online, they do research, before they walk in, and I know this for sure, like I can tell a big difference between somebody that's read my reviews on Google and somebody that just randomly called me, right? Like it's a completely different conversation. So a lot,
Mm.
all these, our trust and our credibility is often already there before the person has called us. So you just don't need to do these aggressive and persuasive sales tactics anymore. I think of this more in lines of a sales professional just being a coach, potentially helping somebody think about something in a different way or that they weren't looking, and just really helping them make a well-informed decision that's going to benefit both sides. And a lot of this is coming from that marketing, right? So when I say marketing here, I'm referring to your website, in the copy on your website, the message that you have on your website, but your image on Facebook, your image on LinkedIn, your image on TikTok, your image on Google, like all some of the stuff that I teach in Milestone 2. One of the first things I say is create a Google business profile, because then you start getting reviews. You want to start getting those 5-star reviews, and then that's how you win your trust before people have even talked to you for the first time, right? So if marketing does its job right, you don't have to do sales. Sales today is about asking thoughtful questions. It's about listening deeply. It's about helping people self-discover what they need, and about having the courage to walk away if it's not a good fit.
Mhm.
Most organizations, like your local community college, they're probably focusing on the class and the logistics of the class, right? For example, you walk in and the person just says, "Hi, I'm looking to learn English." And the person replies, "Okay, our English classes meet on Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Tuition's $200 for the semester. The book costs $42. Do you want to sign up?" Right? And then
Mm.
maybe they follow up and they call you and they're like, "Hey, we talked last week. Do you want to sign up? Do you want to sign up?" Right? But we are not offering English classes at the language school. We are offering transformation, right? What we do is completely changing the lives of our students. And it's interesting to think about this. So most people are calling you looking for English classes. So your job as a salesperson for the language school or for your private English classes, right, is to help them recognize they don't want English classes. What they want is conversation classes. What they want is cultural assimilation, right? So look at the difference between this, right? Instead of me telling you all about my classes when you call me, what if I just asked you a bunch of questions? So imagine, Julieta, you're the English student, and you come in and you say, "I want to learn English. Tell me about your classes," right?
Mhm.
So you ask me. Pretend like you're the English student, Juli.
I want to learn English
Oh, okay, that's great. So why? Why do you want to learn English?
because right now I can't talk to anyone. No one understands me and I don't understand them.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that. Where are you talking to people?
Well, at work, I talk to people at work, maybe sometimes in the supermarket, or sometimes I have doctor's appointments and we just can't communicate well.
Oh, and so that sounds kind of, is that uncomfortable or?
Yeah, it's horrible. It's so frustrating not to be able to express myself and to have people understand what I'm trying to say or to understand people.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. That sounds really challenging. Well, how have you tried to learn English before?
Duolingo, I've taken a few classes also. I try talking to people on the street, but uh, it doesn't seem to be very helpful.
Interesting. So why do you think that Duolingo, I mean, everybody uses Duolingo, and when you say you
Yeah,
went
I
to
don't know why it's
classes,
not working.
where did you go to classes before?
Emily Griffith Technical College.
Oh, okay. Well, they have a great reputation. What happened there?
I don't know. Um, I think I wasn't doing the homework very much. I think I just didn't have enough time to dedicate to it, so probably it was a little bit on me.
Interesting. Well, you mentioned you weren't doing the homework. I've had students tell me like they just didn't really understand the book. It was all in English and they didn't really
Hmm.
speak English. Do you think that was going on?
Yeah, probably. Sometimes it was hard to tell what the homework was asking me to do.
Were there a lot of students in that class, or how many students were in that class?
Maybe like 15 students, 10,
Oh, wow.
15.
That's a
Hmm.
pretty big class. Did you feel comfortable walking in with all those other students?
Yeah, it was a little weird because they were all from other different countries too. So sometimes it was lots of other Latin Americans, sometimes it was people from other countries. So it wasn't always the easiest
Hmm,
place
yeah,
to be.
yeah. Sounds a little uncomfortable. What's been the most frustrating part about trying to learn English for you so far?
Just that I've been here so long and it's not really working. I don't see any success.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about that. Help me understand what that means to you.
I just feel like I'm trying and I'm going to classes, I have the apps, but I'm not really able to get my ideas across
Yeah.
or
Okay.
understand people. Yeah, both of those.
So I hear you. You're very interested in learning English. You're trying all these different things, and you just feel like you're not making progress. Yeah,
That's right.
that is frustrating. What would your life look like 6 months from now if you could speak English?
Whoa, that would be amazing if I could speak English in 6 months. I think I would just feel less stressed all the time that I had to hope someone understands me or hope I understand other people. Um, and it would definitely be helpful in my job. It would be helpful in my like, appointments and things like that.
Yeah. Do you think maybe at work you might get a better job or a better position or maybe get a raise if you could speak more English?
Definitely. I mean, I think so for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm hearing definitely it sounds like you've got some good reasons for learning English. You feel like it would help you improve communication at work and when you're out in the community and going to appointments and stuff like that. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
it sounds like you've definitely tried. You've tried apps, you've tried some other formal education institutions, and it's just not quite getting what you're looking for. I've been doing this for a really long time and I can definitely relate to you, which is why we do things really different. We do conversation classes and cultural assimilation. And what that means is like what you found in that other place where you were with like 15 students from all these different linguistic backgrounds. We work with really small classes. Like this is my classroom. We never have more than 8 students. And the only thing that we
Hmm.
do in class is we talk the whole time. And that's what helps students really feel comfortable when they start talking to people at work and out in the community. So, does that sound like something you'd like to give a try?
Yeah, that sounds really nice. And I was looking at some Google reviews and it seems like other people have also had good experiences.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Mm.
Yeah, we really try to do things differently just to help people feel comfortable when they're communicating. So, I've got a class starting next month. It's on Mondays at 7. It's $97 a month. You can just pay with Zelle or you can pay with a credit card.
Great. Zell, I like Zell.
All right, perfect. So, I don't know if you could see the difference between me just telling you what I have versus I wanted to get Huli to tell me this. That I know what her
Mhm.
frustrations, I know what the pain points, I know that she's trying and nothing else is working, but I want her to tell it to me. I don't want to tell her, I want her to tell it. And then I'm listening. And then at the end, I kind of provide a little summary of everything that she told me because that makes her say, wow, this guy really gets me, right? He really understands what I'm talking about. So just by doing this differently, like everybody thinks of the salesperson as like, I need to convince this person. If you do it backwards and you ask the person a bunch of questions, they're actually convincing themselves and you haven't even said anything yet, right? So these kind of questions help you build trust. They're going to uncover the real pain and they're going to position ourselves as the bridge from where they are now to where they want to be. They get students talking about themselves and everybody likes to talk about themselves. So that's what sales should be like in the year 2026. Any questions about any of that stuff that we just did? So,
I just have a small brief story. I was interviewing for a full-time position in the last couple of months, and the way that so everything you just said about how to sell something, this screen yeah, like an HR sc it was an HR screening call. He did all of that for this job. He was like asking me questions and then being turning it around and being like, "Well, here we do this and this and this." And I was like, "Damn, I really want to work there." Um, so I think that yeah, everything you just said um it resonated with that experience I had where I was I was wanting to buy the program, like to buy myself in that position the more he was asking me questions and he did the same thing summarizing my answers to his questions. So yeah, it's effective.
how about you, Naima? Any questions there?
No questions. Just, the seeing it live with you doing it with Georgina the other day, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, this it takes time to get comfortable doing this, right? And sometimes we're not just thinking, we're just thinking like, hey, let's get down to business and figure this out, right? But if you can ever kind of slow down and just ask these types of questions and you learn a little bit where to dig in, right? So like some of these things I was asking, like, what's been the most frustrating part? She didn't really say anything that I was picking up on. And so I kind of dug in a little bit deeper and asked follow-up questions. But yeah, that when you do it that way, it gets people excited, right? And you don't even have to say anything. So if you can master sales, it's like building a money printing machine. Sales is good skill to have no matter what the career is. Huli just mentioned an HR recruiter that's using these sales tactics, right? Um, and they're not necessarily selling, but they're selling you on why you should work at the company, right? So we're constantly buying what people are selling, even if it's not necessarily like a product that they're selling, right? Sales helps you create new opportunities. More importantly, they're going to help you qualify the right students, which will protect your energy. We're going to be talking a lot about that here. And then that's just more importantly, getting good at this is how you create a sustainable business that actually pays you what you're worth, right? I was reading this forum of these teachers in a Facebook group the other day, and everybody's complaining. These students they don't even respond to my direct messages or to my questions or whatever. And I'm looking at the way they're handling this, and I see somebody like a student puts like, "Hey, I'm looking for an online tutor," and they literally get like 50 people that reply to them. And then these online tutors are complaining like nobody ever signs up. It's like, yeah, you're competing with 50 other people, and by the way, everybody is just saying the same thing. "I can help you. Call me at this number." Boom. Like, no, differentiate yourself. Do something a little bit different. Now, Naima, I think you were hinting at this a little bit, right? In Huli, you kind of said you're at a 1. Like, you're actually better salespeople than you think you are. Just as long as when you think about sales is helping people to arrive to a well-informed decision. So I think teachers make the best salespeople possible. You're great communicators. You know how to present and you know how to guide people through a learning process. And when it comes to what we're selling, teaching, you care deeply about helping people grow. So you're not starting from zero. We just have to reframe the skills that you have and look at how to apply it towards sales. Which one of these strengths, communication, presentation, or caring, do you lean on most when talking to your prospective students?
Probably caring for me.
Me too.
I don't know, maybe all of them, but maybe it's caring, communication, presentation is the order.
Me too.
Cool. Cool. Very good. That's the most important part. If you care about what you're selling, if you care about the success of your students, you're going to do great with this. So, what is sales in 2026 is a topic we're going to cover. These are all the different topics that are going to make part of this sales training. So, we can spend a little while on this. We're going to be meeting weekly on Fridays. Every Friday, this is where I kind of need you to tell me what you want to see the next week so I can create a training for it. but we're super high level. We're going to talk about sales in 2026. Some of this stuff is what I've been talking about, how it's changed, how it works now, and why teacherpreneurs must embrace it, really importantly. And we have the added level of complication or complexity to our sales process, which is we're dealing with cross-cultural communication, and we're dealing in, like, here it says cross-cultural sales with Latino students. But what does that mean, right? Colombians and Mexicans and Cubans and Argentinians are looking at this stuff from a different lens, right? So we can't just there's no one size fits all model here. So we're going to talk about some of the key cultural dynamics that you're going to encounter, and how to lead respectfully without bargaining. That's a big thing that's going to come up with students, like, oh no, give me a better deal, right? We don't do that. So we'll talk about how to lead those conversations. And then we can talk about sales as a dance, which means you have to learn to lead, right? We're just learning to lead the dance. You have to lead these conversations with confidence, and you have to learn how to flip it on people, because you're going to get certain people that are going to want to ask you a bunch of questions, which is dangerous, right? We don't want to be in the business of reacting and answering questions. We want to be the ones that are leading those conversations in asking those questions, right? Next topic might include something like ask, don't tell, the power of questions, which is the number one skill for selling something. Is not selling, it's listening, okay? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We should always be listening twice as much as we're talking, right? So we'll talk about how to dig in deeply and qualify and stuff like that. I've developed over the years a system of red flags that go through this qualification. Not every student's going to be a good fit for you, right? And it is better for you to spot those bad apples before they cost you time and energy. If you get, like we have the saying in English, one bad apple spoils the bunch, right? That is certainly true with us. I've mentioned it earlier. If you have one student that's not doing their part, it's going to create a nightmare. And certain stuff is going to come up from that very first phone call that will tell you if the student's going to be a good student or not. And so we'll talk about that. Another important thing is don't count your chickens before the eggs hatch, right? It's not a deal until you got money in the bank, right? A lot of salespeople, they're like, yeah, I got it. They're going to pay me on Friday. Guess what? That's not a student. And Friday came and went and you didn't get paid. And 3 months later, you still didn't get paid, right? So you only consider a deal once you get paid. And what that means for you is, like, don't schedule a class with somebody unless they've paid you. We'll talk more about that. Objection handling. This is one of the questions that came up last week. We're not quite there yet. We have to do some of this other foundational stuff when it comes to sales, because honestly, if we do it the right way, we shouldn't have to handle objections. But that said, an objection is when somebody doesn't like something that you've said. Maybe it's the price. Oh, $97 a month? That's too expensive. That's an objection. Done the right way, you can flip that person into a paying student, but there's an art to it. So we'll talk a lot about doing that stuff. I've got everything that I use. I've been doing this for a long time. So you get all this stuff pre-packaged for you to know what works and what doesn't. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about the follow-up process and specific messaging that we're going to use during this process. How many touches does it take to actually close a student? Question: how many times do you think you should follow up with someone?
Once,
One
twice
time.
max.
I've been doing like 2 to 3 times so far before I give up.
Yeah,
All right.
3 times.
I've seen numbers to get people done anywhere from 8 to 16 contacts. So it's more than you might think. It just depends on exactly what you're doing and how you're doing it. But yeah, do not think that if you contacted somebody one time, they're going to sign up, right? The fortune is in the follow-up. Some recommended reading, because yes, I am a teacher and I like to give my students homework, even my teacher students. These are some great books. So this one on the left, the Sandler Rules. The Sandler sales training is what I went through back in 2007 when I was working for the startup software company. I swear by it. I've talked to other salespeople that swear by it. I think it's the best and the most effective sales system possible, which is just talking about it's, coming to mutual win-win decisions, qualifying people, asking those questions. I like this book a lot too, question-based selling, because it's counterintuitive. When people think of sales, they think of selling, and it's more about asking questions when done the right way. And as our example that Juli and I did earlier together, right? You see the difference between just telling somebody versus asking questions, right? Well, good. That was the training I had prepared for today. We've got about 10 minutes left. So let's just open this up for questions, comments, and concerns. Did you learn anything interesting, or did I say anything that made you think about this in a different way?
Yes, hold on, I wrote it down. Oh, if marketing does its job right, you don't need to do sales. Of course, there's like a point. I'm sure there's a lot of foundation to get to that point, but I like that idea.
Yeah, it depends on what you're selling, right? We're not selling something super complex here. We're selling English classes, right? It's not super complex. I worked at that software company when I went through all this really intensive sales training. Our sales cycle was like 6 to 12 months long. We had to have multiple people involved in the decision-making process. Multiple meetings. We had to have, a team of salespeople. We had to have what's called a sales engineer to explain the technology, the sales rep to explain the business, and you had to have those, engineering and business counterparts on the other end of things. I mean, it was really complex, right? This is not that, right? You're talking to the decision maker, typically the person that's actually going to sign up. And yeah, if marketing does the job right, if you've got those 5-star reviews on Google, if you've got a credible Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media channel you use, if you have a decent looking website, and more importantly, if you have the message right, if you have this stuff built into your messaging from day number one, it should make it pretty easy for people to sign up, right? And so that's why I say we're not selling so much as just facilitating the sign up. Yeah, we do need that transaction. We need to charge the money. We need to collect the payment. And that sometimes people aren't willing to do that online. And because we do need to know what level people are going into. So we can't just 100% rely on a website to sign students up. But for the most part, we've done most of the work in advance before we ever actually talk to the person for the first time. So thank you for bringing that up, Juli. Good. Naima, any questions?
Just confirmation of no questions, but just confirmation of everything that you're saying and the reminder of what a good prospect looks like, right? Like, don't waste time on the no's when you know it's a no, right? No point to be trying to convince something that someone doesn't want or doesn't seem like it's going to be a good fit. So that's always good because I always feel defeated. So I'm always like, but wait, you must like me. So
yeah, one
good
thing
to hear that
is you got to become rejection proof because people are going to say no. Like, that's just part of the process. You can't help everybody. And if somebody tells me no, I actually get really excited about that. I'm like, bam, that gives me the permission to move on to the next person, right? Like, I get dozens of phone calls. Like, one door that closes leads to the next one that opens, right? I was told very, very early in my sales career, actually, to get excited by no. The worst is maybe,
Hmm.
or let me think about it, or I'll talk to you next week, right? You're looking for a yes or a no. And if you get a no, that's great. Hopefully, that means you've actually done your job and you've helped the person realize that they were looking for an academic program because they're going to college next year, or they're trying to pass the TOEFL exam and they need a different program, or they're learning how to
Hmm.
read and write and we're focused more on conversation. You know what I mean? Like that no is a good thing, in my opinion. Cool. Um, I've added another training. We didn't have time to do it today, but in the next training, and I've put both of these into it's now in milestone 3 in your digital course. Let me see here. Hey, hey, too many tabs open, too many tabs. Yes, so if we go now into, share my screen with you. Is this the one? Okay, yeah. So if we're in milestone 3 and you come into, this is what we just did today, intro to sales training for teacherpreneurs. So what I can do is I can upload the video of this session to put it in there so you can watch it again if you want to. And then we've also got we didn't get to the create the student tracking spreadsheet so you can organize people. And we didn't get to the enrolling qualified students. So I've got different scripts for handling inbound phone calls that we'll go over next week. Any other special requests that you'd like to see for next week?
Necessarily.
Is this helpful to you on a scale of 1 to
Yeah.
3?
I'm always here to learn something. So it's, yeah,
So
I
scale of
enjoy
1
it.
to 3. 1 being you got nothing out of it. 2, I could have done a little bit better job. Or 3, this was perfect.
For me, this was perfect. This was a 3.
For me too, especially because I have a zero background on sales. So,
Cool. You know, you're teachers. You're actually both naturals at it. We just have to pull it out.
right, you're right, you're right. Reframe,
Ask
reframe. I have
ask ask
no
questions.
mindset on sales. Cool.
Ask questions and listen more. And that's all it is, right? So cool. All right, well, I'll let you go for today. As usual, use the Facebook group to send me any questions you have in between classes. And I will see both of you pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Next
Thank
Friday, I
you.
will not be able to attend because, work life. So I will be able to teach for you, by the way. That'll be fine. But I have a meeting from 10 to 3 next
Okay,
Friday. So
understood.
yay.
All right,
All right,
ciao,
guys. Have a
ciao.
good weekend.
Good luck. Bye.